Hey everybody, it's Justin Fox at Mojotone, and today we're sitting with Mr. John Manning. John is the amp parts manager here at Mojo, and we've got a brand new kit we'd like to talk about with him today. It's a Vibroverb style kit from the Brown era, so we're talking first year reverb amp in that style. How many different varieties can you get this kit?
Well, it's like we set it up like a lot of our kits. You can get it with out the cabinet, you can get it without the speakers, and you can get it without the tubes, or any combination of that.
Okay. Yeah. So you could make a head out of this if you wanted to.
Yeah, if you're a good word worker, yeah,
right?
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, a couple 2x4s and some plywood.
Yeah.
Could be good to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about speakers very briefly. So this has Jensen
C10s.
C10, so that's a reissue speaker.
That's right.
Is that they're pretty spec to the original?
Yes, yeah. We think that's a great compliment for this circuit.
Yeah, I noticed they were, I keep using the term sweet, but with the amp having got this kind of sweet quality to it, I didn't notice any harshness in the higher end response. Even with the Telecaster, which, sometimes if you go with too high fidelity of a speaker, in my opinion, or too high of wattage, and you start using a pickup that puts out a lot of treble, you can get that ice pick effect very easily.
Yeah.
So I think you have to have a speaker that has a little give for these vintage style circuits, and I think it complements it well, like you said. Okay, so as far as caps and resistors go, is that all Mojo?
Well, yes. So the electrolytic caps are Mojotone caps, and then we're actually using orange drops for the coupling caps.
Yeah.
But as far as resistors go, we're using carbon composition.
Okay.
Throughout.
So, and I mean, I think history would dictate that these are all very reliable caps and resistors as far as how they compare to the originals.
Absolutely, yeah. We try to keep that spec as authentic as possible, too.
Yeah. For this kit, we're doing a GZ34 rectifier tube. And from what I've read about them, they were a British design rectifier tube. Do you notice that they kind of tighten up some of the sag you might get with tube rectification? Is that what came in this amp originally?
Sure, yeah. The GZ34 came in the original design, and it's capable of holding higher voltage.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll give you a tighter result over, say, a 5Y3.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll see a good example is like the Princeton Reverb amp from 64, 65. They changed from the GZ34 later on. I don't know if it was a financial decision or not, but you find one with the GZ34 tube, and you're going to get, or it's said that you may get tighter bass response, and you can push the amp harder without it sagging out. Which we use a lot of these terms when we're talking about amp tones sagging and breakup and tightness. But these are the things when you reverse engineer something like this, you want to try to make sure that you've addressed the things that make it great, and if there were some things that were issues, maybe nip them. But I don't think this amp had many of those back in the day, because these have reached that legendary status.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the bias is fixed.
It's fixed bias. Well, what we decided to do was offer an adjustable bias in there. It's just an improvement over the circuit, because it's going to allow you to, no matter where you are or what kind of tubes you put in it, you're going to be able to get the most out of the tremolo.
Yeah.
By biasing it and tuning it in.
And it's not terribly heavy either,
Not that bad.
It's pine cabinet.
Pine cabinet. Yeah.
Just like the good old days.
Just like the good old days. It's made to spec, the cabinet dimensions, chassis dimensions. We went as far as making sure that we've got cloth-covered wire, fiberboard, eyelet boards. As we tried to keep it as vintage as possible.
And the power transformer is?
They're from Habor, just like all of our transformers. They're wound to spec.
I've had a couple Mojo amps and some other amps with those in there, and that's a tough transformer. I've never broken one yet. So
Yeah.
I've never let the smoke out on one of those. So anytime I hear that they're going to be in an amp, I know that it's, at least in my experience, going to be very reliable, and that's something that I look for. Even when we're talking about kits or reproductions, if there's something like the transformer that can be improved on as far as reliability goes from the original, that's all pluses in my book.
Right, absolutely. And they overbuild them, so I've seen these transformers with smoke coming out of them, but they still work.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
Just working it hard.
So yeah,
that was just the wires heating up.
Yeah, that's it.
Everything was good. And then, as far as tubes go for the full kit, does the customer have a choice if they order the kit what type of brand of tubes are in, or do you guys have a set brand that you like to use in these?
we offer JJ electronic tubes.
Yeah.
With all of our kits. They just offer a reliable tube that's we can keep in stock.
Yeah, they're pretty consistent with their matching and stuff too. So, but like you said, you can order it without tubes, and if you want to put all NOS,
absolutely,
completely vintage correct, era tubes, you could do that. Another thing I noticed is that the reverb is very similar to what would be the successor to this, the black Vibroverb. And is it a similar reverb circuit? I mean, when they designed this circuit originally, did it kind of just roll over into that next era? Are there some differences in this early one?
The reverb circuit in general is pretty set throughout the eras. It relied on a small transformer to drive the tank.
Yeah.
And then there's another recovery stage And you see that here, you see that in the later Black era amps as well.
Yeah.
So it's a very similar type of reverb.
Yeah, and I, when I was using it and kind of playing around with it, I noticed that, even you could get that nice kind of dripping slap back, at that certain level. And of course, you can always run them to space if you want to, but it had a nice change in dynamic all the way up, which is, anytime you're going to play a vintage style reverb amp, you want to hear that. It's something that you can't get from a pedal, And I think that's two great qualities of this design, is that you get a vibrato that is very hard to recreate without it being driven by tubes.
Right.
Right. And you get the reverb as well. And they just have, and it's more of an in-person type thing. Especially when you're coming out of two speakers and you get this warble. I guess it could be called warble.
Right, yeah.
Tremolo warble. Yeah, it was a pleasure to play it, man. I'm very excited about this as a kit and as a pre-built that you can get, and you guys will put it together in house and
absolutely. Yeah, you could choose to have us build it as well. Yeah. Yeah, we're excited to offer this one. I think it's going to be a hit. Just the overall sound and vibe from this kit is it's a pleasure. I think it might be one of my favorites.
Yeah. It's got that legendary status just by design, but to get your hands on an original one of these days, you're going to be taking out a pretty good chunk of change to find those. And this amp originally, when it came out, they only made them for I think around 6 to 8 months. And I don't know how many are left in the wild, just a couple hundred, but
right, yeah.
In that time frame in the 70s, I'm sure a lot of them got cut in half.
Yeah.
And they had to add a master volume and a super distortion circuit and all that kind of stuff. So, John, it's been really nice talking with you about this today. I think I'm as excited as you are about it. I can't wait to see what everybody thinks about it. For more information on this kit and any other Mojo products, feel free to visit mojotone.com. And as always, we'll see you next time.